Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So today we're in Hongdae and we're asking people, what does the Korean language sound like? Every language has its own texture, its own rhythm, its own melody. I want to know what Korean sounds like to people who are visiting Korea or who have just moved here. So I interviewed people from all around the world to see what their opinion was. Also, if you're currently studying English, I recently released my course, 미국인 션의 여행 마스터. This is an amazing course if you're planning to study abroad, work abroad, or just travel. We go over many useful situations such as immigration, ordering at cafes and restaurants, and asking for directions. Also, with one purchase, you get access to other great series on the website. Check it out, watch a free sample by clicking the link down below. Without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name's Tom. I'm from Germany.
What brings you to Korea?
I actually used to live in Japan for a while, some years ago, and I wanted to really visit Korea, but I couldn't because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Because it was closed.
Yeah.
So now I decided to scratch it off the bucket list.
What does the Korean language sound like to you?
I think it melts together a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it flows. I don't know, because I have the contrast with Japan.
Yeah.
I always feel like in Japan everything is a bit more organized maybe in a way, and the language is also very rhythmic. And then Korea is more warm, and people are really more welcoming. And I feel like the language is kind of like this too, more warm, more blending together.
Japanese kind of feels like someone's playing drums or something with on a table. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's very staccato, rhythmic. I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Korean, I feel like when you read out the words, they seem really long, and then you hear somebody say it, and it's
That's so true. Do you have an example of that?
감사합니다.
Yeah.
I think when you write it out, it's 감사합니다.
Yeah.
It's 감사합니다. It's bam.
That's hilarious. Yeah. That's so true. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Anda and I'm from Latvia, but I was born and raised in Belgium.
What does Korean, the language, sound like to you? What is the rhythm, the melody?
I think it sounds so beautiful. It's one of the reasons why I got into K-pop in the first place, because I think it's so smooth, I guess, and so, I don't know how to explain it. In spoken language, in daily life, I would say so, definitely. It's more robot-like, as you say, but somehow in the songs, they make it sound much more flowy and much more just natural, and so somehow I feel like it fits music better than English does.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Michiel, I'm from the Netherlands and I'm studying here abroad in Seoul.
Why did you decide to come to Korea?
I wanted to go to Japan originally, but plans changed and I ended up in Seoul, in Korea, and it's fantastic, I've got to say.
What does Korean, the language, sound like to you?
Gibberish. Right now, gibberish. Some words like 주세요, 저기요, those kind of words you can understand, and 감사합니다.
So you're hearing a lot of 주세요, 저기요.
Exactly. It's not free, a free-flowing language.
Not a free-flow language.
Yeah,
It's English?
English you can...
Oh my god, I can't believe you did that yesterday. Why didn't you call me back?
You have intonation indeed, but here in Korea it's straightforward, one line, and then sometimes you hear people laugh, but the sentence sounds the same as when someone would be angry, I think.
So you're saying that sometimes it's hard to distinguish between laughing and happy sounds and angry sounds.
Yeah.
Interesting.
To me, it sounds rhythmic.
Like a rapper.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. No.
Hey guys, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Melanie, and I'm from France.
My name is Liz and I'm from France.
What brings you to Korea?
I'm living here.
Yeah, me too, I live here.
I'm a pet sitter, so...
Pet sitter?
Oh.
You like that?
Yeah, I like it. Totally different from my old job.
Any bad pets? Bad boys, bad girls?
Yeah, you have everything, like human.
True. How does Korean sound if it's a dog?
If it's a dog,
Because you're a dog sitter.
it's more like Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu, okay.
No.
And what's a Shih Tzu like?
Small, but sometimes...
Frisky.
Yeah, but I want to say sometimes Korean are not that loud, so it depends. But
If you're in the PC bong, they're a little loud, yeah.
yeah.
Getting mad playing games, me too.
I think like a wave.
Like a wave.
Yeah.
Like you're surfing on a wave.
Yeah, because when people speak, it's like, oh, 안녕하세요. It's not 안녕하세요. It's 안녕하세요. It's wave for me, I think.
Hey guys, how's it going? Where are you from?
Germany.
Germany as well.
What brings you to Korea?
We are exchange students.
What does Korean sound like to you?
For me, it sounds busy. It's fast. Yeah, complicated, and they have less words than in English.
Less words than English. What do you mean by that?
When you say Johnem, Annika, it's just 2 words, and when you say my name is Annika, it's
Oh, I see what you mean. So you can
different.
say more with less words. Are you hungry? 배고파? Right?
Yeah.
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 Ah, interesting. But at the same time, complicated.
Yeah.
Why do you say it's complicated?
Yeah.
Very different pronunciation. I think it's more about sounds you're making and
Yeah.
not about like the alphabet we're used to. So yeah.
I think it also sounds very like fluent that you
Fluent?
yeah, do everything together and say like one sentence and do not make so many pauses in between.
Maybe compared to English or German, like there's more pauses, but Korean is just like da 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 da.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name's Guillem. I'm from Spain, Barcelona.
What brings you to Korea?
I just came here on vacation, just walking around, and then I'm going to Japan.
And how long have you been here?
Just about a month.
It's a long time to be in one country.
Yes, it's a long time, but I wanted to try all the fried chicken possible, so need a long time, I guess.
Came for the fried chicken.
Yes, and stayed for the K-pop.
What does Korean sound like to you?
It sounds a bit nasal.
Nasally.
Yeah, a bit like Thai language.
Does it? Okay.
I'm from Russia.
Are you living in Korea or are you just visiting here?
I live here for 2 years.
Cute.
Sounds cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if compare like with Russian or German or English, Korean really cute language, and
Yeah.
in there also a lot of cute sounds and also a lot of cute words for couples that and they really often use it like for your boyfriend or girlfriend. So 자기야, 자기야.
Yeah.
I'm from Russia.
What brings you to Korea?
I was just coming back home from Canada, and like I decided to stop by like for 3 days. But I liked it so much that like I'm staying here. It's like my 4th week.
What did you fall in love with?
The vibe, like
The vibe.
I think Korean people are very fun. Like to be
Fun.
around. In Korea, usually like people just come up like randomly on the street like to meet me. I don't know.
Say hi to you.
Yeah,
What does the Korean language sound like to you?
very emotionally expressive.
Yeah.
It's gentle, but at the same time, it's kind of reckless. I don't know, like if you get what I mean.
Reckless but gentle.
Yeah, the consonants to me sound very sharp, but the vowels very gentle. Like 사랑해요, I like the like ending.
Does Korean remind you of anything? Any other languages?
I do feel it's quite unique. As a whole, it stands alone, but it just has like some words that are real close to either English or Chinese, since I've also studied it. So that sometimes helps a little bit with learning it. But otherwise, I would really say it's unique. It can definitely easily distinguish it from Japanese, Chinese, and so on.
Sure.
We know that Japanese is close to Korean language.
Okay.
So I would say Japanese.
Yeah, well, I went to language school and I studied with people from all around the world. We were all studying Korean. And the Japanese people would definitely learn quicker, I noticed, than the Westerners.
Yep.
Because, like you said, the grammar,
Yeah, Chinese
some
as well.
similar vocabulary.
Yeah. Chinese people as
Yeah,
well.
they had an advantage too, for sure.
Yeah.
For Koreans, Russian sounds so rude. I don't know why, because in my opinion, Russian language is not rude. Maybe
Yeah.
because I'm a native speaker.
Yeah. Do a lot of people think that Russians are rude
Yeah, like I think a lot of foreigners sing like Russian rude or something.
at first?
Yeah, like how I hear from foreigners, they say like Russian feels so rude, and I think Korean soft language because they want to like share emotional.
Yeah.
Like, if they like want to say like you're cute or something, they will say really soft or like add more emotional.
I think Korean is really emotional language.
Yeah.
When they speak, they always have a lot of emotions on their faces, and Russians, we always with this face.
Oh,
Like
scary.
poker face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Is the temperature? Is this cold there? Dangerous to show your emotions or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, baby. When you were young and you were crying, were your parents like, "Don't cry"?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. You shouldn't show your emotional. Like for other people, you shouldn't.
Interesting.
If you laugh without reason, people think you're stupid.
Does Korean sound like any other languages to you?
I think like it kind of sounds like Russian, because like in Russian language we have like хорошо, and in Korean it's like 알았어. Yeah.
Same meaning?
Yeah, same meaning.
No, I guess you could like kind of compare like because I'm from Germany and German is also more like a kind of hard language, and so I feel like Japanese is more similar to German in that way, and maybe Korean is more like Spanish or Italian.
I like the Daegu dialect better than other dialect. It's more familiar to some dialect in France.
If we're watching like a cartoon and each character is like a language, what would be like the catchphrase of Korean?
아 그래?
그래? You hear that a lot walking around?
Yes. 아 진짜? Or so.
My favorite word in Korean is it's like 부산 사투리.
Yeah, 사투리. Yeah. You like 사투리?
네.
She's French, so she loves to have like the curse word.
Like always in the bus there's 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Yeah. So that's something.
Hear that a lot. Yeah.
Everything from the buses and from the subway.
And
Like, yeah.
없어요. Always.
With this?
Yeah.
With the hand?
Yeah.
You don't do that in Germany?
No.
The X?
Opsoyo, no.
I think there's also a lot of dong and il and those syllables.
Yeah.
Yeah, dong, il, and what else? Song. A lot of O and G.
안녕하세요.
I guess like Shinja is like
진짜. Yeah.
yeah, you hear that all the time.
You hear that a lot walking around?
Yeah, I don't know. I hear like some older people singing here, and it's a bit more like movie Korean maybe.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of like arirang or a little bit like a da la
Yeah,
la.
like that a little bit.
Kind of older style Korean singing.
Yeah.
For me, as someone who's learned Korean, I guess you're learning Korean. Korean pronunciation is very difficult compared to other languages. Would you agree?
I would agree. Definitely takes some practice and a lot of listening for your brain to be adapted to those new
Soak it
sounds.
in, yeah.
Yes. I haven't studied the Japanese structure, but I feel like maybe there can be some links made there. Yeah.
Was it easier to learn English, or do you think Korean is easier to learn?
Korean is more regular than English, and in that sense, I think it would be easier.
Because there's less like exceptions.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Korean follows the rules more.
Yes.
With pronunciation, reading it, and just the grammar.
Yes.
That's true. Like you read like an English word, I'm a native English speaker. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Someone's name, a new word. You know the word rhythm. Rhythm is crazy. Why is rhythm spelled like that? Like I don't know. Yeah. So I agree. What does English sound like?
A bunch of different things, I would say. If you go to Ireland, for example, they have a much more jolly sounding English than if you go to like a city like London. London is much more serious, much more straightforward. And in America, very happy. Very happy sounding people.
Hey guys!
Yeah, exactly. And if you go to Canada, you spike it up a notch as well. So
Learning Korean is pretty hard, right?
Yes, on one side it's hard, but on the other side, I think there's many easy things like days and months. It's just numbers.
True. 1 month. 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is harder to learn, English or Korean?
Korean.
Oh.
My English is not good, I think, but
You guys are great. You speak well.
but Korean.
Why is it so hard? Pronunciation?
No, pronunciation is not a problem. I think the big problem is memorizing all words in Korean. They have a lot of words with similar meaning.
Yes, that is true. How do you like Korea, living here?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the vibe. I love the style of living. The only thing, like the dorms are really small. That's the only like downside, and the beds are maybe a bit different to what you have in Europe. But overall, I would say I enjoy living here more than I do in the Netherlands.
Hey.
Because I don't know, I'd like the Asian flow more.
Asian flow.
Yeah, like the Asian flow of things, like the small streets, the maybe sometimes outdated streets, which look fantastic. I like the aesthetic of the Asian buildings.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's about, but like something
in the air.
Exactly.
Spice.
I'm not a big fan of spicy food, and you get spice here even in the water. You know, everything is spicy. I'm not a fan.
So you guys enjoy living in Korea so far?
Yeah. I actually I want to stay here like for all my life.
Yeah.
And I want to work here and live here.
You really like it here?
Yeah.
You like living in Seoul, or you think you're gonna maybe move other place too?
I visited like a lot of places like Suwon, Busan, and another. But yeah, I prefer Seoul more.
Cool. All right, everyone. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Definitely.
I think by now it's weird if you couldn't speak English good.
Yes.
I look at people, it sounds a bit bad, but I look at people like weird if they can speak English in Germany, because it's like such a normal standard. So if you can't do it, it's rather weird. Rather if you can. So
Definitely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. If you
Look at
can't,
them weird, like.
yeah, it's just like a bit. Oh, you can't speak English.
Where are you from?
Where are you from? Yeah.
I think Iraqis in general speak good English. You will have an amazing time if you go there. Yeah, you should go there.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask you something. Maybe sensitive question. I'm an American. Is it all right Americans go to Iraq? Are there people who don't like Americans? Or is that not an issue?
No, I'm just kidding.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sean. So as some of you may know, I was an English teacher here in Korea for many years. I taught in elementary schools and I also taught adults. I saw what the education system is like here for English, and I think in general it's improving a lot as the years go on. I'm very curious though how people from other countries learn English in their schools. Some countries obviously produce a lot of very fluent English speakers, and other countries are not as well known for their English speaking ability. There's a stereotype about Americans that we don't really speak any language other than English. It's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, so in this video I interviewed people from all around the world, asking them how they learn English in their countries. Without further ado, let's begin. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Angel, like an angel, and I'm from France.
What brings you to Korea?
So I'm here on a working holiday because I had a free year and I was like, let's do this.
What's the English education like in France for you?
It's very traditional in the ways that we have grammar-based lessons a lot. There's not much discussion compared to other countries I've been to, like America or England. Maybe even Germany. It's more the teacher talks, you listen, you write things down, and then they ask you and you repeat it by heart.
Right.
Outside of lessons, I was huge on like American pop culture, English pop culture. So I used to watch shows, and that's where I got better, because if you just learn the grammar, you just get bored. And that's why, for example, I had the same style of teaching for German, but it didn't stick with me at all because I wasn't like watching German shows or interacting with German people.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
So I think that's main
So you gotta watch and listen to native speakers.
Yeah.
About a topic that you're interested in. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Madhusani from Sri Lanka.
What are you doing in Korea?
I'm studying. I'm doing my master here in aviation.
So what is the English education like in Sri Lanka? It sounds like your English is really good.
So in my country, from childhood, they are studying English.
How is like the fluency in general in English in Sri Lanka? Like pretty high?
Not high, but like in the middle. Yeah.
Your friends and family, how about them?
Yeah.
They speak well?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Gino. I'm from Germany.
Cool. I rarely find someone taller than me.
Oh yeah, you're like 6'2" or something?
6'2" and a half.
6.5. I'm 6'5".
Oh,
yeah.
How many centimeters?
195.
Oh.
So 195. But I'm from northern Germany, so people over there are pretty tall.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
What brings you to Korea?
Actually, I'm traveling all over the world.
Yeah.
I work online, and my friend, he kind of lives here for like half a year per year, and I'm visiting him in Seoul. Yeah.
Cool. You liking it here?
Yeah, I love it. First time South Korea, first time Seoul, and I love it over here. Yeah.
What is the English education like in Germany? Is it good? Is it bad? Tell me about it.
I'd say it's pretty boring, pretty like textbook boring. I think you learn a lot of grammar, which is fine, I guess, but probably you don't learn how to speak, how to like have a real conversation. And I'd say I learned English probably during like watching anime with subtitles. I think that's my starting point learning like real English was. And,
so you were watching Japanese anime.
Exactly, Japanese anime
with English
subtitles. Yeah, and that's
help you learn English.
Exactly, better than English in school, because I think it's too much textbook like. It's not real life.
Okay, so they're focusing on like tests or like grammar and like listening, right? Like what aspect are they focusing most on?
I wouldn't say like conversational English. It's mostly like grammar and like comprehension skills a bit, I'd say, yeah.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Tanguy, I'm from France.
What brings you to Korea?
Just for vacation, just to discover the city.
Why discover this city?
Because some good friends of me, I told that it was a really good city. In France, people don't really learn English at school. So almost everyone learn from the video game and YouTube, I think.
How young do you start? At what age?
6 or 7 years old. In French, English students are really bad.
Why do you say it's bad?
Because of the teacher, I think. I think they are the same level as me. But
so you're learning English from someone who can't speak English very well.
Yeah. We just talk in French and say a few words in English, but it's a word you're gonna forget about the day.
Really? So not useful like vocabulary or expressions. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Ollie and I'm from England.
First of all, what brings you to Korea?
Just on holiday for a couple of weeks, yeah.
And you chose to come here?
Yeah, so I started in Busan, went to Jeonju and then Seoul for a week as well.
Cool, you enjoying it?
I'm loving it, yeah, it's been very good, very fun.
I guess you're from the UK, you're from England.
Yeah.
How is the language education there?
Yeah, so I mean, people do learn languages in England. I think we're notorious for not speaking many languages, especially in Europe when you look at someone from Germany or the Netherlands and they can speak perfect English, German, probably French as well. I don't think our sort of language teaching is great in England. I mean, I did French for 6 years and my French is very limited. Like, I wouldn't be able to get around France just speaking French, there's no way.
Hey guys, how's it going? What's your names? Where are you from?
I'm Maria, I'm from Germany. I'm Tony and I'm also from Germany, Munich.
What brings you to Korea?
Yeah, we're actually from Hong Kong, doing our exchange there, and we arrived yesterday and visiting friends here.
How is it learning English in Germany growing up in schools and whatnot?
I think everybody learns English from the 3rd grade or something, so it's really common to know English really well.
Sure.
Yeah, I started it really early in 3rd grade, but I also learned it like through watching YouTube videos and stuff. Then also going abroad with my school sometimes.
It's for us maybe more common than for others to know English really well because we study in English.
Yeah.
So you study your university courses in English?
Yes, everything is in English.
Is that a thing for all Germans or is that just you guys?
It is a thing to study abroad and to study in English, yeah. But you also, if you study in Germany in university, a lot of courses are in English.
Yeah, it's very common. It's very common now also to go abroad to the Netherlands and stuff, just because English always gives you an advantage. So it's more common now to go abroad and also do the courses in English.
Yes.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Great. I'm Kai. My name is Kai. I'm from Beijing, China. Actually, on my vacation, just traveling.
Are you enjoying your time here?
Sure, very much. I like the people here, especially also the food. Amazing food.
So how is it learning English in China growing up?
Thinking of Chinese education, English is one of the 3 major subjects taught in school.
Yeah.
The other 2 being Chinese and mathematics. So we started learning English from a very early age.
How old?
Like for me, when I was about 10 years old, I started learning English. But nowadays, it's much earlier. Kids started to learn English from, I think, kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah, and many of them just grew up as in a bilingual environment nowadays. Yeah.
So
Nowadays,
it's really important in
that's
China.
Right, that's right. Officially nowadays, kids have to start learning English from grade 1, meaning when they are 7 years old.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Ali. I'm from Iraq.
What brings you to Korea?
Vacation, holiday with my family.
I'm so curious about English education in Iraq. Do you learn English in schools when you're younger?
Yes, English as a language introduced to students from the 7th grade in Iraq.
Yeah.
And we learn it as a compulsory subject in our education system. Probably when you are 12 years old, around that age, yeah.
Do you think the English education is good?
In my time, yes. I'm not sure about now, and I think it's better now. It should be better with the modern education tools and methods. Many Iraqis, my age, educated, speak pretty much good English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fluency, how about like your family and friends? Did most of them speak English?
Yeah, everyone speaks English in my family, and my community and cycle friends. Everyone speak good English and other languages besides English.
So they focus a lot on grammar, but not as much on speaking and listening when you're kind of in school.
So you have to understand that for each class there are more than maybe like 60 or 70 students. So if we're doing speaking practice, perhaps that's not realistic.
You get 1 minute.
Yeah, like that. So mostly we're doing the writing test, writing training, like that.
That's actually a really interesting point. If the class is too big,
that's right.
It's impossible to give like attention to every person.
Exactly.
It's mainly just sort of watching, repeating, that sort of thing, hearing, repeating, not a lot of anything else. In secondary school, there's sort of the listening part of it, so you have to understand what someone's saying to you. The speaking was a smaller part, not massive, and a lot of it was just sort of writing.
Was it fun?
To be honest, not really.
Not fun. Okay.
They didn't make it particularly fun. We still, there was still some fun lessons, but it wasn't engaging enough, I would say.
That's probably why you had less passion.
Exactly, yeah, I think so, for sure.
Does the German education system in public or private school prepare you, or do you have to study extra a lot outside of school? Does school alone prepare you?
You have to speak the language outside of your studies to learn it properly. You have to speak to like local people or other people in the language you are learning. Otherwise, school wouldn't prepare you for an English-speaking study or English-speaking job.
But I feel like society prepares you because you're kind of forced to learn English.
Wow.
In your everyday language, on the radio, YouTube videos, Netflix shows.
Yes.
Like you kind of have to over time.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that the school is enough, but in like all in all, everything is kind of then it works out.
For Iraqi education system will get you to a point where you be good in terms of grammar and writing, but when it comes to speaking and expressing yourself, I needed more than my government education. But obviously, I love the culture. I love the music, art and movies, and going through like social media and like music and all these movies enhance my my speaking, and also traveling. It's a big tool that pushes you to socialize with foreigners, and socializing with foreigners, you're gonna need a common language to use, which is English.
It's just English, right?
Yes.
Talk to a French person in English.
It's a magical language. Once you have it, you have no issue going anywhere in the world. There will be someone speaking it in any way.
I started learning English more watching anime with subtitles, but also during travel, I think. When you have no choice to get to know people, especially solo traveling, then to speak English, right? Either you're lonely or you learn to speak English a bit better. I think that's a big part.
You hear that, everybody? Travel helps.
Definitely.
Did you go to university in France too?
Yeah.
And your university classes, were those all in French, or were they in English too, or?
Only French.
So it sounds like France is like really comfortable and really like used to just speaking French for everything.
Yeah. They prefer it.
How similar is English to the Sri Lankan language?
It's totally different because our first language is Sinhala and the second language is English, so it's a little bit difficult.
I would say French is much more complicated. Some words are the same. I think in the same ways that Korean words and English words have maybe Korean took English words and made them
the
Korean.
loan words.
Yeah. So we have a bit of that.
Like how would you say internet?
Internet. Grammar is kind of similar, but French is much more complicated. We have gender for words. So when I learned English, I was like, much better than French. So it's easier.
I think German is more similar than like Korean or Japanese, like Asian languages. So I don't think German people have many problems learning English. I'd say German is more harsh. Like harsh, like lots of k and t and right, and English is more smooth. I don't know if there are many similarities actually.
It's not similar. No.
No, we have so much grammar. It's so different.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't have like the We have
With
the
the
same
letters,
alphabet, letters and stuff.
Yeah.
That makes it way easier, but not similar at all from the structure.
Yeah.
So not really easy automatically to learn.
But like English is way easier than German. So I
It
would
is.
10 times rather learn English than German, just because we have so much grammar and English is just very intuitive and straightforward.
How similar is English as a language to Chinese? Probably pretty different, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's actually pretty similar in terms of structure because
Okay.
I'm also a language learner. I've been learning different languages like French, Russian, German, Japanese, Korean. I've learned all these languages. From my perspective, I think Chinese and English share many similarities, like the structure. I'll give you an example. Like Korean might be very different. If I want to say I eat bread, they would say I bread eat.
Right.
Very similar to Japanese. But in Chinese, it's the same.
Is it harder to learn English for Chinese people or harder to learn Korean?
I think English is easier.
Oh,
Yeah, English
wow.
is easier.
So if I travel to Iraq, will I be able to get around with just English?
Yes, certainly.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say you will be really having no issues walking around, inquiring information about any sort of food directions. And
Yeah.
I think Iraqis in general speak good English. You will have an amazing time if you go there.
Yeah.
You should go there.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you something, maybe sensitive question. I'm an American. Is it all right Americans go to Iraq? Are there people who don't like Americans? Or is that not an issue?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I'm going to listen to you because you're local.
Yeah,
there, so.
you will have no issues whatsoever.
okay. Good to
There
know.
are so many Americans there.
Yeah.
There's also American schools are there.
What if you speak English to French people in France?
I think they don't gonna reply to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you similar, better, worse than most people around your age?
I think I'm like average, I'd say. I don't think I'm better or worse than the others in my age group, yeah.
If you're average, that's pretty damn good.
Oh, thank you so much.
If you don't speak English in England, pretty tough to get by, right?
Yeah, I'd say almost impossible, especially if you're coming from South Korea and you didn't speak any English. No one's going to be able to help you with South Korean.
Right.
Unless there's another South Korean person there who speaks
Yeah.
English. But yeah, that would be difficult, definitely.
Does the average high schooler in Germany speak decent English?
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. Yeah.
So if like I go to Germany, I'm like, hey, student person, where's the cafe where they're just easily...
Everybody can answer you properly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe they're shy, but like everybody can answer that. At
Yes.
least like at
Easy.
10, 11 years old, they should be able to answer basic English questions.
There's kind of a phenomenon here in Korea. Not all Koreans, but I've heard from my Korean friends that if when you're speaking Korean, you use like English words or you speak English too much around your Korean friends as a Korean, they kind of judge you. Like, oh, you think you're better than us. Is that similar in France?
Yeah, I think it's similar.
You're ashamed of speaking English in front
Shame?
in front of other French people because you're like, we both understand each other in French. Why are we talking English? But even if it's like when I'm with French people and there's like one international person, we have to switch to English. We all feel very awkward about it. It's not normal to speak English if you talk and you start doing like English, like it's called Franglish. Like people find you annoying. It's not people find you. It's a thing in France. Yeah.
At home in Germany, and you're hanging out with your German bros and your German your girls, and you're just like chilling, and you just like throw in some English words, the English expressions. The German people are like, oh, like why are you speaking English? Or they don't care.
They don't care. Actually, there's so many English words we use in common speech, like crazy, or we use like insane, or like random, or like big. Yeah, we use many English words actually. Yeah,
So it's just like naturally woven into the language.
Exactly. Yeah.
How important is learning English for like getting a job or like for like companies or this kind of thing in your country?
It's the main thing in Sri Lanka because we can't go to job without English. They always check English, the fluency. If we go to the interviews, even for the master, I have to face some interviews there, 3 interviews with English. So to all we need English there.
That sounds like a pretty big motivation.
Yeah.
I think by now it's weird if you couldn't speak English good.
Yes.
I look at people, it sounds a bit bad, but I look at people like weird if they can speak English in Germany because it's like such a normal standard. So if you can't do it, it's rather weird. Rather if you can. So
definitely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. If you
Look at them weird, like.
Yeah, it's just like a bit. Oh, you can't speak English.
Where are you from?
Where are you from? Yeah, it's very, very normal to. Also, everything is international right now.
Yes.
So, in every job, you have to speak English.
And I think I also worked in like for German companies already, and I think that you have to speak English there already. So.
Because they want to have like a more international approach,
Yes.
so they take more international people in because we're lacking a lot of workforce in Germany. So
Are there a lot of? Is there like a less amount of young people in Germany?
Yes.
So there's like more older people.
Yes, and that's why we want to have more people from abroad come here, like come to Germany and work for German companies. But that's why they also they are changing it that everything is in English and you're not even required to speak German in the job anymore. Most of the time, yeah.
We have a lot of company in French, so everyone speaks French in there.
Yeah.
So no need to talk English in French if you want to work.
Yeah. So it sounds like English is like really important for business and like the economic aspect. If you learn English, it's going to help you a lot with business. Is that true with Iraq too?
Yes, certainly that's true for Iraq and for any other nationality, I believe, especially if you're into getting the education abroad and travel. And yes, certainly English is an essential language to have on your list.
Nowadays, if you want to work in pretty much every job, you have to be good at English. I think
Really? Because another French guy I was talking to said that a lot of French people just work in French companies and don't learn English.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I agree, but I think to a certain limit, because the second you start to work in a company that has like something abroad, you have to speak English. So, for example, if you work to a big French company, if they have like an office abroad, you have to start learning English. And I used to work for like a big company that was like that had like offices in everywhere in the world. So there's like you have your main works that's in French, but then you have like works that you have with other parts of the world that you have to speak English with that.
Oh, okay. How important is it for Chinese people to learn English in terms of like getting a job or going to a company? Like,
oh, it's a big thing, very big thing.
Okay.
So in China, we have the national certificate issued by the education ministry. So there is the CET4, like level proficiency test, and CET6. If you're a college student, many wouldn't be able to graduate without a CET4 certificate. And for those who want to pursue their education abroad, I think many of them will also choose to take the IELTS and TOEFL training. So it's getting really popular nowadays. I think, many of my friends studied abroad, had this experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I say something? You look like this anime character that I know. It's a compliment. He's a badass. Can I show you a picture?
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
please be a cool one. Please be.
He's really cool. Yujido Hanma.
From Baki.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome,
dude.
I'm not as buff as him though, but that's awesome.
You kind of remind me of Yujido Hanma because of your red shirt and his red hair.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah. Anyway.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. Did you enjoy it? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. What do you like so much about Korea that you've chosen to continue to live here?
Being in a country that can actually have a lot more opportunities in terms of just creating content and all that, and people are interested in the country, the culture, like everything about this.
I'll say girls. Oh, just kidding. I very like the fact that there are a lot of young people. The very first time I came to Korea, I went to Itaewon during Christmas. There were so many young people dressed very well. And I was like, man, this is just like the environment I like to live in, because I grew up in a very small town, and
never had that, huh?
Yeah, there are not so many people living in my neighborhood, and I'm just like the country guy, sort of speaking. And
even as a foreigner here, which makes us the outsiders, you can still find community.
You're not a lonely man.
I'm not lonely here in Korea. I've got friends, and I've got activity groups. I like to run, so I find friends that I like to run with and do other things with.
Thing you don't like so much.
I'm not a fan of winter.
Korea is cold as kitchen towel.
Okay, of course it's not gonna be just a kitchen towel. Is it like someone that is like too easy to just like go out or like hang out? You can just call them anytime and they just go, they're just like a kitchen towel.
I love that guess.
I just imagine the whole thing myself.
I love that guess.
The whole thing
but no. It just means like a paper towel. Like, you know, a towel you use, the thicker ones.
Actually a towel.
Yeah. So we say paper towel. Mind control.
Like self-conscious.
Manipulating somebody?
Nope.
Mind control, no?
Self-restraint. Like say you want to have some cake but you're on the diet.
That's exactly it.
Oh, that's nice.
Mental discipline or self-control.
Crazy. Like Koreans say this. After hearing it the first time, you get it. You get it.
They make sense, right?
Yeah, they make sense.
메뉴라는 말은 콩글리시입니다. 한국어로는 이렇게 말해도 아주 자연스러워요. 이게 진짜 맛있는 메뉴야. 추천하는 메뉴 있나요? 이게 인기 메뉴네요. 하지만 영어로 This is a popular menu라고 하면 미국인들은 진짜 무슨 말을 하고 있는지 전혀 모를 거예요. 영어로 메뉴라고 하면 메뉴판이라는 의미거든요. 다른 의미 없어요. Can I see a menu, please? Sure. 그러면 이게 인기 메뉴예요. 를 영어로 자연스럽게 하려면 This is a really popular dish. This is a really popular dish. What dishes do you recommend? What dishes do you recommend? 네, 식당에서 메뉴 대신에 dish이라고 해보세요. Before coming to Korea, your preconceptions, what were you expecting?
I am half Japanese. I was kind of like trying to find the little thing, Japan is better for this. The more I stayed here, the more I realized that, actually things are nicer here. The cafe culture, the streets, vibe and everything. So I think I like Korea now more than I like Japan.
Failed on your quest.
Whenever I meet Koreans, it's like I get friends with Korean that went overseas. It's like they at least travel to a foreign country, and it's much easier to get friends with them than Korean that always stay in Korea.
Some people would have some negative experiences not being allowed into certain places, but actually everyone's been so welcoming, so helpful. It's been so much better than we thought it was going to be.
Like at school specifically, like we notice that there's people that brush their teeth in the bathroom, or they get ready like while they're on the bus, and that's normalized. Whereas I think back home, I don't think that'd be as normalized.
Why did you choose to come to Korea?
I used to be bullied for listening to K-pop because I started like 10 years ago before the hype started. Then after I finished gymnasium in my gap year, I came here to do a language course, and I just fell in love with the food, the culture, the language, everything.
I was watching K-drama at the time. I was like, I sort of want to learn this language. So then, I was looking for a Korean teacher, and my Korean teacher was my now girlfriend, now fiance.
Wow. Good.
Honestly, Sashil, I love living in Korea because it's so, everything is pyeone. It's really convenient.
Everything is pyeone, let's go.
Pyeone.
I love K-pop and K-dramas, so I really wanted to learn Korean. So I came here to study. There are many phrases that you can catch from K-dramas or like K-pop. It's easy to catch like 뭐라고 or something from the K-drama. 미쳤어?
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sean. In this video, I'm asking foreigners living here in Seoul, why did they come to Korea? And I'm also asking them, what do they do on Chuseok and other holidays? Are they lonely? I often wonder about this myself, so I'm curious to see what they say. Without further ado, let's begin this video. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Emily. I'm from North Carolina in the US.
Cool. What brought you to Korea?
I'm an exchange student, so I'm at Yonsei studying for international business.
And what attracted you to coming here?
I had a lot of previous interest. I like K-dramas, K-pop kind of. Got into that more towards like the pandemic era. And I was like, I have to do this study abroad, so I might as well go to Korea, satisfy that interest.
Yeah, scratch the itch.
Right.
Netflix has shows and series from all around the world. Is there something that resonated with you, particularly with like the K-dramas? You're like, ooh, this is nice.
A little bit. It's really easy for me to know what's happening next on American TV shows, but for Korean TV shows, it's a little bit more on edge, a little bit don't know what's happening next.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot more creativity in like their plots, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was more fun for me to listen to and watch those than American TV shows.
Are you like the person in the movie theater, like, I know what's happening next?
Yes.
I know what he's gonna say.
Yeah, so a lot of movies, I'm like, oh, that's just gonna happen, and my friends, like, when it happens, they'll turn to me and I'm like, what? That just happened. Like, how'd you guess that? You've seen this before. I was like, no.
It's there are a lot of patterns, right?
Yeah.
Kind of cookie cutter molds.
Yeah, especially like superhero movies.
Oh, I can't stand it. I've seen too many. Yeah, it's all the same.
They're the same.
Yeah.
But
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Gav. I'm from America, Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
And I'm here studying abroad.
What brings you to Korea specifically to study?
My godmother's Korean, and so like for a while I hadn't really been learning like the Korean like language itself, and then towards the end of high school I decided like she was like, why are you learning? I was like, you're right, I should learn. And so
you're slacking.
I know. And so then I decided, I was like, I'm gonna start learning, and I started self-studying. And then when I got to college, I was taking classes, and then I was like, might as well study abroad because she has family here too.
Cool.
So now I'm here studying at Yonsei.
Your godmother is Korean. Tell me a little about that. What does that mean? How did that come about? Did she come from Korean, like became very close with your family?
So my mom has worked in like the bar industry for like a long time.
Got
and
it.
So
She makes a mean cocktail.
Okay. And so she owns a bar, and so my godmother, they had like met through that industry when I was like very young, and so she became my godmother. My mom was like, that's her best friend, and so then she ended up becoming, her name's Miri, and she took care of me for back and forth for a while, and so she's like my mom, my second mom, and so, I don't know, it just
awesome
means a lot.
story.
Yeah, thank you. She means a lot to me, and so I'm glad that I could like do something that not only is like passionate for her, for me, but also I really enjoy like language itself, and so this has been a fun experience.
What a unique and awesome story.
Thank you.
You gotta learn fluent Korean. This is your destiny.
I'm working on it.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Halima. I'm from Morocco.
What brings you to Korea?
I'm studying Korean language.
What's the reason that you became interested in Korean and Korea?
You know, as everyone else, I think we start liking Korea because of the dramas and stuff. But like my interest in Korea started when I was in my country. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and learn the language first and know the culture, and then See, I like Korean dramas because it has a lot of comedy. Their comedy, I mean, like not
Great humor.
Yeah,
I like
it so much. That's why I start watching Korean dramas. Not the sad, melodramatic stuff. Like, no, I don't.
Do you think Koreans have a good sense of humor?
They do. Yeah.
Do you laugh when your Korean friends tell you your jokes?
Well, actually, I don't have Korean friends right now.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Adrian. I'm from America, specifically Miami. And I've been here in Korea for 6 months.
All right. What originally brought you to Korea?
What originally brought me here is honestly the fashion. Before I came here, I was going to fashion school in Miami, and I realized that in Miami, it's a little too hot to wear the things that you want. So like
that's really interesting.
Yeah. So like people don't care as much about what they wear as opposed to like other parts of the country or like places where there's actually seasons. In Miami it's just like wet and dry seasons. It's just always hot. So because of that, I realized that I needed to go somewhere with like seasons. And I started looking at Korean fashion shows. I fell in love. So like, I've been making it a goal of mine to come here.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, I actually studied abroad when I was younger in Italy, and northern Italy is very cool. I guess there's seasons there too. Huge for fashion. Milan, as you probably know. Like in that part of Europe, I guess Korea too, Japan. I never even thought about that. So are you okay with the colder weather personally then?
I was born in Miami. I've lived in Miami my whole life, but I hate the heat. I hate it so much. Like,
dude, you're just like destined to come here.
Yeah. I needed to be somewhere where it was cold. I've been to New York probably like 5 times, and I've loved it every time. The weather just makes everything so much more like nice. Like, I want to go everywhere. I want to do everything when it's like nice and cold.
Of all like the cooler countries to study fashion, why Korea?
So Korea, I feel, isn't necessarily like it's not seen as like a global fashion city. It's not a fashion like capital of the world yet. But I feel like Seoul has the capability of being that.
DDP, bro. Did you go to that?
DDP, yeah. I had to. I had to. Like, I'm gonna go. I went when it was Seoul Fashion Week, probably like a month ago, and I'm gonna go again in February when it happens again. I love it. I love the atmosphere, the feel. Like all of it is fantastic, and it definitely shows signs of like an upcoming fashion capital of the world.
Wow. Yeah. Cool. Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Hello, my name is Essam. I'm from Paris and then I also live in Morocco. Like I have my family there.
What brings you to Korea?
I'm here purpose of an exchange student at Yonsei University.
Sure.
For 1 semester and I'm majoring in business.
Why did you want to come here though?
First I wanted to go to Japan. Like I had a university there, like Waseda University, but it was for 1 year and the only other offer made for my university was South Korea. And like for me, both countries are insane, so I just had to choose between both.
What does that mean, insane?
Like, you know, when you see on TikTok, when you're scrolling, you see how Korea is, how Japan is, the culture, people. Like I'm a big fan of anime, and like I know it's different here, but like in Tokyo, in Japan, mostly anime is like a big part of the country, of the culture. You know, I had to do a choice, and then I chose like Seoul because I have friends there too. Also because you know you can also travel like next to Seoul, like you can go to Japan, China, Shanghai, things like that. So I chose Seoul, and also because you know it's like way less expensive than Tokyo.
If Japan has anime, Korea has
K-pop.
Okay, that's the thing here.
Yeah.
You a fan?
Not that much, but I watch some K-dramas like All of Us Are Dead, Masked Girl, and it's one of my favorite K-drama.
Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Njoki. I'm from Kenya.
What originally brought you to Korea?
I came here for university and basically I got a scholarship to study here.
Okay.
So I came and that's what I've been doing ever since I came.
What are you studying here?
I'm an economics major.
So you've been in Korea now, how long?
1.5 years now.
What do foreigners usually do during Chuseok?
During Chuseok, I went to Jeju Island like for 1 week. I spent like 1 day here in Seoul, like the last day of Chuseok, and I just went to the Han River. There was like a kind of ceremony, a spectacle with like water and some lights, colorful lights, etc. It was fun, but I preferred like Jeju because you know here everything was closed. I know that some friends of mine like went to the club, but like during the whole day you had not much thing to do. So I went to Jeju and we had fun. We went to the beach, things like that.
I actually went to Everland with some friends that also live with me and study at Yonsei. We went to Everland on the day before Chuseok. We went and it was a great time. I've never been.
What did you do during Chuseok?
I went to a friend's house who has a host family. They live all the way in Galme, so like it's probably like an hour away from here. We all brought our own dishes and we had a sort of like potluck. We sat at the table. Didn't necessarily give thanks, but we all just ate each other's food, had a good time, and drank a lot of soju.
Like a potluck.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
What did you do on Chuseok?
I was actually with my friend. She's one of my roommates here, and she went to her boyfriend's grandma's for Chuseok. So I went with them just because I had nothing else to do. I was lonely. I was like, you know, this might be the chance to, you know, experience more of the culture.
What did you do on Chuseok?
Actually, I was just home studying. That's the only thing that I did. I usually just hang out with my friends and maybe we find something to do. We can like.
Yeah.
I personally really like going to museums and art exhibitions, so I can meet up with a friend or two. We can go to a museum or just go to a restaurant, visit somewhere we haven't been before.
You think a lot of foreigners are lonely here?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I have some Korean friends, but it's very like surface level. It's very like, you know, like, oh, let's go climbing, let's eat food, let's go somewhere. It's like a foreign exchange program with like every relationship you have.
Really?
Kind of, yeah.
Do you have any deep Korean friends?
No. I mean, back in America when I went to high school with them, yeah. But I mean, other than
Korean
that,
Americans.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, no. It's really hard to like break through that like surface level relationship and actually get somewhere like deep.
Sometimes it gets lonely because of course I don't have any family here.
Yeah, right.
I came here not having any friends or anything. Yeah, and also, you know, as a foreigner, you never like totally like fit in. You know, it's like
You're a foreigner?
Oh, you didn't notice? yeah. I know, I get that all the time.
Yeah.
yeah, but
You don't fit in.
Yeah, so there is also that sense of you just want to be somewhere familiar and surrounded by people that you know and just doing the familiar things that you used to do back when you were home. But so yeah, it does get lonely. I do get homesickness from time to time, but yeah, I get through it.
Do you feel lonely in Korea sometimes?
Not really, to be honest. Not at all.
Not at all?
You know why? Because like in Korea there is a lot of things to do. So I think like even if you're like alone, you have a lot of things. Sometimes when you like you're in the street and you find like so many couples, you know, and friends and stuff, like oh okay, like I feel in that moment. But then like oh, I'm okay. Like I don't care. Like it's okay. Yeah.
Are you an introvert?
No. Not really. No.
Wrong again.
No. No. I do have my friends, but we met like sometimes we met.
Okay.
But like, it's not like I am against like being with myself. Like I do love the time with myself, like, going out, like you know, stuff like that.
Sure. So you have friends here?
I do like, but they're also like not Koreans. Like there is Japanese, there is American, there is Hong Kong. There's also Turkish, there is Iranian.
How are you enjoying Korea so far?
Now I'm very glad that the summer heat and the humidity is going down.
Amen.
Because I was losing my mind because of the humidity. But now the fall is approaching. I love fall, so I'm quite excited for that. Because the weather in Korea is so extreme, at least compared to where I'm from. And you know, people usually think, oh, you know, like African countries, oh, so hot. And it's true, it is like hot, but honestly, from my experience, in my opinion, the summer here is way hotter than it is in Kenya. It is so hot.
Maybe more humid here, yeah?
Yeah, I think the humidity is what makes it worse, but it's hot. But I think winter would be worse for Kenyan people or people from that region because, you know, it's winter and, you know, I'm not built for that, you know, so
yeah,
getting used to the cold and like the freezing temperatures.
Sounds like you speak Korean.
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
listening to the words you're saying, your pronunciation.
Oh.
You study Korean?
Yeah. I'm studying Korean right now. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even just the way you say like 추석.
추석. Yeah.
오, 잘하시는 것 같은데요?
네. 감사합니다.
한국어 배운 지 얼마나 됐어요?
6개월 배웠어.
So overall, do you like your experience in Korea?
I have to say I love it. Overall, it's a great experience. It really is. Like, I mean, the seasons, the experience, being able to walk anywhere. In America, it's very rare for you to be in a city where you can walk places. It's not very conducive of like community to drive somewhere, do what you need to do, and then drive back. Being here, it's great. It really is.
Yeah.
Although I haven't made very deep connections, I've only been here 6 months. I think it's a matter of time. I don't think it's a matter of if.
Love that. Sick, dude.
Thank you.
So now you've been in Korea for a little while.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Mostly like I love Korean food, even though like there's no like there are like specialties, but one of my favorite one is like bibimbap.
Yeah.
Really good. And but I discovered something like Korean people do not eat that much of vegetables. Like,
you notice that?
Yeah, compared to like Western countries. Like we ate a lot of vegetables and here like not that much, but that's fine. Like you can go to Paris Baguette and take a chicken salad. And
why do you say that Koreans don't eat a lot of vegetables?
Because you know, like they eat a lot of meats.
That's true.
Like when you go to the barbecue, things like that. But
bibimbap is all vegetables, right?
Yeah, that's why it's my favorite one because I love vegetables. But like compared to like older, like they are very into like meat things. But that's fine. I love meat too, but sometimes you have to eat a bit of vegetables, like only for your health.
Balance. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Seoul and I love South Korea, so for the moment everything's fine.
Cool, man. You're awesome.
Yeah, I think.
Can I ask you another question? I see you have McDonald's here.
Yes.
I like a burger sometimes myself. Is this like a comfort food? You're just like, I don't want to think about it. I just want to buy something and that's familiar.
A little bit. It's more convenience right now because I just didn't want to buy anything and cook anything back at the apartment. I also have a different menu here than in the US a little bit. Like I got a bulgogi burger and then they have strawberry McFlurries.
Oh.
So I was like,
so
I
it's
want
same
that.
but different.
Yeah, it's close enough where I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of comforting, but then, you know, it satisfies me wanting to try more things.
Kind of like the dramas.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. You enjoying your time here though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like it here. I like seeing all the things that I've seen like through online and through TikTok mainly. So it's really nice to see all that in person for once.
Yeah. You watch a lot of TikTok?
Yeah. Probably too much.
Favorite Korean food?
The normal one, which is like tteokbokki. I love like spiciness. The spiciness of tteokbokki is really nice.
Oh really? Not too spicy here?
No. I love it.
So far, you're enjoying your life here?
living here, it's good. Like I love it. Like I would love to stay like here for longer, you know, to experience more of like the Korean life. But I want to spend it like in somewhere that has like more Korean people. You know, like you're living the real Korean life, like you know. But like,
that's what you want to do more.
Yeah.
So you would prefer more of authentic experience versus like Sinchon or Hongdae, like
because
very touristy locations.
Yeah, because I went to Seokju for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And I really loved it a lot because like there were so many foreigners, so you don't really see like you see the Korean culture, the real Korean culture there. Like I didn't see that many foreigners because I was alone anyway. Like, but I talked to Koreans like 할머니s, 할아버지s. Like, so yeah, it's like it's good. It was good experience. Like it was
that's interesting.
So nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Did you enjoy this video? If so, please let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.